people hate to be sold to, but people do love to buy things. Buying into that is exciting because you're excited about the prospect of what it's going to do for you. You probably don't need more leads. What you need are better conversations with the leads that you've already got. Sell by Chat isn't about scripts or sleazy selling. It's a system that helps you take someone from interested to invested in a way that feels honest, effective, and like you. It's one of the most personal and repeatable skills that a PT can build. And for us, it's the biggest missing ingredient for most struggling PTs today. Let's check it out.
Why does selling suck so much?
It does, doesn't it? I think it sucks both ends, right?
Excellent.
Read into that what you will.
Good.
Like being sold to feels horrendous, and having to sell something to someone that you kind of feel a little bit awkward about feels equally as horrendous.
A bit like little thing here, I've always thought when you go into clothes, I mean, men typically don't like clothes shopping. Go into a clothes store and it's like when someone comes up and says, "Can I help you at all?" Immediate response is, "No, I'm just looking."
Yeah.
Because you just don't want to usually go, you don't want to go there, like leave me alone.
Even if you have a question.
Yeah, it's
like
true.
That's just the automated response as opposed to going up and to asking them later.
Maybe that's a British thing, but I think it does link into the selling.
Yeah, I always think of like a car salesman. You know, like I like my cars and I've been to so many different garages, and the ones that I end up buying from ultimately are the ones that are there, like you can see them.
Yeah.
And they sort of give you a smile or whatever, but they won't come over and start hounding you and trying to push sell. Anyway.
Yeah, back on that train. So we hate to be sold, or we hate to sell.
Yeah, people hate to be sold to, but people do love to buy things.
Yes.
Like buying something feels good.
Spending money feels fab.
Yeah. And if you see the value in something, if you like, you're not just going to walk out there and buy any old thing, but if there's a problem that you have and you find something that is going to solve that problem and you learn a little bit more about it and you feel like it's connected to you, it's going to work for you and it's going to help you solve that problem. Buying into that is exciting because you're excited about the prospect of what it's going to do for you. So yeah, that's like a big mover into what we're going to talk about today, because we don't want to help personal trainers sell like a sleazy car salesman. We want to help personal trainers create an experience for the leads that they're speaking to, create an experience that ultimately makes them want to buy. Yeah. And that begins with Sell by Chat.
Yeah, beautiful segue. You couldn't have done it better myself. So with Sell by Chat, we're going to unpack exactly what this is, because I think people can kind of imagine, like I want to sell using a much more informal, casual way of talking to people. But the other thing I think we've got to touch on is one of the elements of selling, if you like, is being ghosted, pestering people, being a pest in terms of messaging and following up, and not wanting to get in that icky, awkward situation. So how do we navigate that?
Yeah. If you're directly selling something, I think number one, you're much more likely to be ghosted. You're much more likely to be told to piss off, to go into that closed store and just be told, "No, I'm just looking, thanks."
Yeah.
So I think the first thing is the context of what it is that you're actually messaging or talking about. If you're doing that in a way that isn't particularly pushy, you're not actually talking about your product or personal training, you're much less likely to have those things happen.
Yeah.
And if the context of the conversation that you want to have with people is more about helping, it's more about what we call leaning in, being curious, trying to better understand the person, then it feels a bit more natural to follow up.
Yeah.
It feels a bit more natural to send a voice note. "Hey Dave, haven't heard from you for the last couple of days. Really, really keen to understand what it was you said about the other day when you said that your right knee is bothering you when you're running. I've got a couple of cool things. I might be able to help you out with it. Give us a bit more context and I'll come back to you." That feels more natural rather than like, "Hey Dave, I haven't heard from you for a few days. Do you want to buy my PT Accelerator program?" It's wanky.
So I want to cover with you some practical stuff like you just leaned in there, voice notes. We'll come back to that because that's key. But let's talk about, we'll do what Sell by Chat actually is, then why is it important? Why does it matter? And then we'll talk about tools and practical, like what can I do? How do I do this? Right?
Cool. Yeah.
So 3 things. So let's do what Sell by Chat actually is, because I think when it gets to messaging, we worry that it's scripted and it feels very cold and robotic, and segue onto we worry that it's just an AI, it's just a bot. Like, how do I feel human? So can you speak to what is it? Like, let's talk about the structure and the flow and how we piece that together.
Yeah, the first thing is kind of the name sell by chat is sometimes a little bit misconstrued because it's part of the selling process.
Yeah.
But there's no selling that actually takes place there.
And the outcome is a sale, right?
Sure.
But actually what happens inside of the process does not feel like selling if it's done right.
Yeah. So a couple of episodes ago, we spoke about something called the 5 1s, the 5 key things that are going to help you grow and take your business to fully booked. One of those things was lead gen and nurture. So once you've generated a lead, the natural next step for most personal trainers is just to talk about their personal training services.
Yeah.
And to say, why don't you come down and we'll do a taster session, or these are my prices. We need to bridge that gap. A lead is not ready to be sold to. A lead is just somebody that has connected with you in some way about something. They're not in a position to buy, very, very, very rarely.
Yeah.
So we need to turn a lead into a prospect, someone that's actually interested and is actually thinking, I wonder if this person can help me. And sell by chat is the perfect bridge between those two places.
Yeah.
One of the things that you say to a lot of our coaches is just think about the lead already being a client. Because you don't need to sell to that person. They're already sold to. What you're actually doing is you're trying to help them. And if a client comes to you and they have a problem, you're naturally going to ask them questions about that problem. And you're going to try and figure out what can you do within your program to help them. Sell by chat is not really too dissimilar to that. We're trying to gather information. We're trying to build a story of what's going on in this person's world. And we're also trying to, because they're outside of our program, we're trying to see at a high level how we can begin to help them completely for free without expecting anything in return. There's 3 things that we really want to do with Sell by Chat. We want to get someone to know you a little bit more. Not your brand, not your logo or your color scheme, not sort of anything about the business per se, but you as a person.
It's not about what you do with clients. It's not about the features of your service. It's much more about you as a human and a person and your connection with them.
Yeah, your beliefs and those kind of things. We need to get someone to like you. People don't buy from people that they don't like. And we do that by being curious.
Yeah.
If you make somebody feel important, heard, by genuinely caring, and by the way, you can't fake that. Like if you're a personal trainer that doesn't give a shit, this ain't going to work for you. You've got to care. And you've got to be inquisitive.
So quick summary then. So Sell by Chat is a process. It helps you as the coach turn a lead into a prospect, and a prospect someone that's actually like ready to talk about maybe working together. Whereas a lead is just a name, a number, someone that lives locally that maybe has a sort of problem that hasn't yet really been defined. And we want to do that in a way that's personal to you, that feels warm and builds connection and know, like, and trust. One thing I wanted to touch on this, because that's what it is, and you've been saying about why it works and how it works. But 2 things that stand out for me, maybe because they're funny, but Lube the Tube and Scooby Snacks. These are 2, perhaps a little bit more tactical, but it speaks to how it works. Can you explain what we mean by those 2 things?
Yeah, so we want to reward people by giving you the information that you want.
Yeah.
So if you ask somebody a question,
this is Scooby Snacks.
This is Scooby Snacks. Yeah.
We'll do the lube next.
I'll let you lube the tube.
Okay, fine. I'll do the lube.
So Scooby Snacks is like you would give a dog that sits when you say sit. You would give them a snack which reinforces that behavior so that they'll do it again. We want to do the same in Sell by Chat. So sometimes you'll be speaking to a lead and you'll ask them a question. Let's pick something very, very common. Like, could you tell me some more about your? You told me earlier that you really struggled to walk through the gym, like to go into the gym in the first place. Could you tell me some more about that?
Yeah.
If they respond, I just don't like it. It's not very useful information. So we have to dig a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
But if they then decide to send you a 30-second voice note, or they send you a paragraph on the anxiety that builds up in their stomach when they've got to get out of the car, or this one time that they went in there and they felt really intimidated, that's information that you can use to then give some value. So you want to reward that.
Yeah.
You want to say, David, that's so useful. Thank you so much for opening up to me and letting me know that. I think I can help you with that.
Yeah.
Is it cool if I share a couple of things with you here?
And that lends into Lube the Tube. So the idea with the tube is the chat flow. So lead to prospect. There's a tube in between that we want them to move them through. And if we lubricate the tube, they move more easily through it. So what you're doing is you're creating a chat environment, an informal, friendly, rewarding, nice to be inside of environment that makes them want to talk to you. So yes, you're going to say thank you to reward the type of response you want. But then after that, you want to then say something, add something, share something that's going to make them really appreciate talking to you. So when one of the tricks that we, I say trick, it's a way that we can build further rapport is you make the person you're talking to feel really important. So you don't just say, oh, thank you for sharing. You then compliment, acknowledge, appreciate the thing that they've told you and add, you said there, add a bit of value. And that value could be, wow, you must really be super busy right now. It's so amazing that you're able to do everything you are, given all the responsibilities that you've got.
Yeah.
So Scooby Snaps and Lube the Tube, that speaks to like how it works.
One of the things I think about when I was a personal trainer doing this, and when we talk to coaches now, is I want my message thread to be something that when it pops on their phone, when it goes ding, you've got a message, that they're actually like, oh, I want to read that.
Oh, Craig messaged me.
Yeah, Craig messaged me. This could be really valuable. I want to check this out, or I'm interested in where this conversation's going, as opposed to ding, oh, this fucker's going to sell me something.
Yeah, he's pestering me again.
Yeah, that really distinguishes quite nicely about what we're talking about here.
So let's make this uber practical now. So we've got 4 practical kind of tools that people can get and use right now, which can make this better. First one is boards. What's the app Boards?
Yeah, so we actually can't take the credit for this.
No. We can't take credit for much. We just stand on the shoulders of giants, don't we?
Yeah, that's it. So one of our success coaches, so we have a team, me and David are obviously the mentors in our program.
The visionaries.
Absolutely. We have success coaches that also provide additional support and help to our coaches. And one of our success coaches who themselves worked with us at Velocity to build an incredible business introduced us to an app called Boards. Now, when you're having these conversations with people and you're very, very good at it and you've been doing it for a little while, you're going to understand like the key questions and frameworks that are going to be applicable to most people. Boards is a way of storing on your keyboard, on your phone, certain set sentences, phrases, pictures, links
to videos and
all of that stuff. It's a way of saving it so that you can super, super quickly access those things and send it. There's 2 reasons why that's good. Number one is that you want as many chats going as you possibly can. When you're generating leads and you have good lead flow, you can have a lot of conversations going. You don't want to get arthritic thumbs. So if you don't want to be a parrot just having to type the same thing again and again and again. So Boards is a great way to shortcut that with the key things that you want to say.
Yeah. So check it out.
The second part is it keeps a framework of a conversation.
Yeah.
So one thing that we don't want you to do in Sell by Chat and that won't work, and you mentioned it earlier, is if you become robotic.
Yeah.
So it shouldn't be ask this question and then irrelevant of the reply, send the next thing. Like that doesn't work.
Yeah, you genuinely can have chatbots that do that. So there's no point. If you're going to do that, you might as well outsource it to a bot and accept that you're not going to be human.
You're going to get a very low response rate.
Yeah.
What we want to think of it as is you've got like the key things that need to be done, but you're going to move off at times. You're going to go off on little tangents. And that's the very human thing. That's where you might send a voice note or a video or a couple of things that you haven't sent to anybody else before.
Another one, just a little random side note, but something we did fairly recently was a GIF. Like you made a GIF of you waving at the camera and it was like literally a 2-second GIF. And that becomes part of the initial thing you send when you first like connect with someone, new Instagram follower, a new member of the group. And you send that and like that got a really great response of like, oh, I'm actually talking to you. That's you. It's like, it makes it more human. Yeah,
for sure. So the Boards kind of keeps the framework because you don't want to drift too far off track because then you're just having a chat about their dog and their holiday and it moves away too far from what you actually want to talk about. But it keeps that framework.
That's a nice segue because we touched on videos and stuff like that. Like I want to distinguish the stuff that you would log that is evergreen and repeatable versus opportunities to add value that's personal and custom. So talk to me about voice notes in chat, videos, even we talked about GIFs earlier or memes and maybe Loom replies. These are kind of tools that we can use to do something, to make the chat better.
Yeah, number one, we want to show that we're a real human being and that we actually care. We've taken some time out of our day. When you receive a written message, I don't think it carries that same emotion.
Yeah.
But when you can see that someone's put together a minute to a minute and a half voice note, or they're out walking their dog and they took the time to record a 30-second video, or they've put together a 5-minute Loom video, which is where you can screen share and send it as an easy
We'll come back to that Loom in a second when we talk about the Sell by Chat accelerator form as well.
Sure. Those things show the human connection. They show the care. They show that you've actually taken time out of your day, not to sell, but to just add value to that person.
Yeah.
And I couldn't tell you the amount of times that I would do something like that and you get a response which is like, thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do that. Or that's so valuable, Craig. I really, really appreciate that.
Yeah.
It's so valued. Number one, like I said, it stops them from thinking I'm talking to a bot, but much more importantly than that, I think it really bonds the lead to the conversation.
And it accelerates the lead to prospects. Like we're talking about lube in the tube. We're talking about a process to get more of the conversations you've already got, the people that have messaged you inside of Instagram or WhatsApp already. If we employ some of these tactics, we can just accelerate and get more people to a point when they're like, you know what, I'd love to come down for a session with you at the gym.
And if you can make it really personable, you get massive bonus points for that. So when you start recording the voice note, say, hey, David, like call them by their name and then say, cool. So I've got the picture. You're currently in a David Lloyd gym. That's where you're training. The problem that you're having right now is that when you go in there, X, Y, and Z, A, B, and C, 1, 2, and 3, and you're able to reiterate back to them what they've told you and then provide, a small segment of a solution.
So so number one there was boards.
Yep.
So get bored, start playing with it. Number two was use voice notes and videos. We touched on Loom replies there. So we suggest we put together like what we call a Sell by Chat accelerator form. So first of all, what is it and what does it accelerate and how do we use it?
Yeah, it's a way of gathering the key information that you need in one moment to be able to then provide quite comprehensive feedback to somebody that isn't yet in your world. And going back to lubing the tube, the amount of value that creates for a person is crazy. Yeah. It can take them from sort of loosely kind of knowing about you as a personal trainer, but nowhere near the front of their mind in terms of taking action, to hugely appreciated, totally understand the value. What are the next steps? Beautiful.
And then finally, what's a drop-off review? Like as in, so if we look at when in the chat, let's say you go and look at some chats and you think it's always dropping off at a certain point in the conversation. A drop-off review for us would be, we need to look at the chats that we've been having and start to figure out when and how and why someone would drop off from a conversation.
Yeah.
So what's that all about?
So everybody is going to be working with different types of people, and you're going to have your own style of Sell by Chat.
Yeah.
And for the coaches that come on board with us, they study the trainings, which are very comprehensive, and we give them a format and a template or a framework to work with.
Yeah.
But we say pretty extensively, this is not going to be the end game for you.
Nah.
Sell by Chat is experimentation, and you've got to get your character into it. You've got to understand your avatar and their pain points. So as you're going through this process, what you'll find is there are going to be predictable markers as to where people just stop responding. Yeah. And as with everything in business, you need to track data. Data doesn't lie. You can't go with your gut. You can't go with what you think or I would like to receive that, so I'm going to send it. You have to look at what the numbers are telling you. So we do a review of, let's say, the last 50 conversations that you're having, and you'll find 2 or 3 key points in the conversation where people just stop replying. Yeah. So it tells you that what you sent before, maybe the previous 2 or 3 messages just lost the lead. Yeah. Maybe it was too forward. Maybe it was just, it didn't carry enough value. Maybe it didn't prompt a reply. One of the key things in Sell by Chat is you always end your message with a question, because that encourages people to come back. Maybe you forgot to do that. Yeah. So you want to analyze the chats that you're having and say, well, what parts of this are working really well, where I'm always getting replies, I'm always getting great information. Yeah. And where are the points that are going cold, and therefore I need to experiment again and tweak and change it.
So let's wrap this one up. We talked about Sell by Chat, what it is, why it's important, why it might be the missing ingredient to someone's ability to grow. One thing that we were chatting about before we hit record is that I did nothing of this, I can't take credit, but you put together the 12 laws of Sell by Chat. And I think that we thought that could be a really good starting point for someone who wants to learn a bit more about this and have some stuff to implement. So Should we give it to him?
Yeah, why not? I think that the sell by chat is a bit of a beast. It's a skill that you're going to develop, but there are some key things that you need to get in place for this to have any chance of working. Yeah. So the 12 laws of sell by chat was part of the training that we gave to our coaches and walked them through, and we kind of created a little cheat sheet of this effectively for them to go through. So yeah, we're gonna get that accessible for you guys listening or watching. Just head to the description in the podcast, and you'll find a link to my Instagram. Just hit that and send me a DM. Just DM me the letters SBC for sell by chat, and then I'll know what you're looking for, and we'll get you those 12 laws sent across.
Awesome. So closing off, most PTs don't necessarily need to market more. They actually need to do better with the conversations they're already having. Yeah,
generating a lead is not too hard when you understand what a lead actually is. But it's turning a lead into someone that's actually interested. And the way that you're going to do that is by being more human, making more connection, actually giving a shit about your leads, really caring, and avoiding the sale. You need to set up the opportunity to sell later.
Awesome. Speak soon, man.
Take it steady.